Greetings, guys. I hope that everyone's well today. So today we're going to be looking at the Netflix chart. Um, as we all know, Netflix recently released their earnings about 2 or 3 days ago, and they were very much negative. This has affected many markets, including the Nasdaq 100, as well as markets such as your DAX 40, which is the German index. Some of you may argue that Netflix does not sit under the umbrella of the German index. That's true, but at the end of the day, most of these major indices are connected in such a way that when one moves strongly in a particular direction, to some degree, it'll have a rippling effect, and as far as the other indices go. So without further ado, let's get straight into the chart. So I've got the monthly chart open, and as I always say, that we should start our analysis from the monthly chart. And the first thing that I can see from just looking at this particular chart is that we have this area over here. I'm just going to make it slightly bigger. We have this candle over here. It's a bearish candle with a small body and a long lower wick, which suggests that at this level over here we had some liquidity that needed to be grabbed. We can now see that this current monthly candle actually came down to that area to grab some of that liquidity, which has now rendered this candle invalid, so we can just ignore it for now. Another thing that I can see from this chart is that we had an overextended information in this pattern, or rather in this area. I'm just gonna do this quickly so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm referring to. Just bear with me, guys. So we had the first leg of the M, price came down to the support area, went up and then came down, right, with the neckline being in that region. As we say, guys, that once price breaks the neckline, at this point we can start looking for selling opportunities. However, in this particular chart, we can see that price just came down crashing. It also never gave us an opportunity to come back to this level, so we can look for actual selling opportunities and then push down in this manner, right? So let's continue. So from here, I'm just gonna head on over to the weekly chart, as I don't see anything else that's interesting or of value at this stage. So let's move on to the weekly chart rather. So this is the weekly chart, and the first thing that I can see on this particular chart is that we have this candlestick over here. What it is a bullish candle with a small body and a very long upper wick. This tells us immediately that at this level we have some liquidity that needs to be grabbed by the market. So I'm just going to mark it as it's a very important area. I will make it a yellow. There we go. Right. What else can I see by just looking at this weekly chart? I can see that we also had an overextended information in this region. We had an overextended information in this region with the neckline being at this level. As I said earlier, whenever we have M and W formations, what we expect to happen next once price has broken the neckline is for it to come back to retest that neckline before continuing down. Just for illustration purposes, I'm going to show you exactly what it is that I'm referring to. So we had this, which was the first leg of the M formation. Price came down to the neckline and then created the second leg of the M formation, which was quite tiny in relation to the first leg, and then we saw price coming down with the neckline being in this region over here. So what we expect next is for price to come back to this region and hopefully come down even further. I'm just gonna actually add lines just to plot the M, so that we don't forget about this area as we move along to the smaller time frames on this particular chart of Netflix. Just bear with me, guys. I'm gonna make it a pink. That's the first leg. It's the first leg, which is longer than the second leg, and then we had price creating the second leg, and then in this manner, there we go, and then we also had the neckline of that information in this region. I'm just going to make this a pink as well, just in keeping with that information. There we go. Right, as I said, ideally price should come back to retest this neckline. I'm now going to add Fibonacci just to see if this particular neckline aligns with any of the key numbers on the Fibonacci retracement tool. Fibonacci retracement, let's see. There we go. As it stands, yes, we can see that the neckline aligns with the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement, which is a very important area. So this adds to our confluence for why we would be looking for selling opportunities in this region. So far, we have the information, which is the information, which is the first confirmation, and then we have the Fibonacci retracement zone of 61.8%, which is the second confirmation. Should price come back to this region actually and give us a reversal candlestick pattern, that would be our third confirmation, and that's when we would take a sell to the downside. But for now, I'm just gonna delete this Fibonacci retracement tool. But in the back of our minds, we need to keep the fact that we have a very important key zone here, which is the 61.8%, and it aligns with our neckline. So I'm just gonna delete this for now, and then from here I'm just gonna head on to the daily chart. There we go. What can we tell by just looking at this daily chart? The first thing that I can see is that we had a gap in this region. We had a gap in this region. We have a gap here actually, and we have another gap in this region as well. And when it comes to gaps, what needs to happen at one point or another is that price has to close those gaps, as there is quite a lot of liquidity trapped in these regions, at this level over here and at this level over here, right? So let's continue. Another thing that I can see from looking at this daily chart is that we had the formation of another M here. I'm just going to put it out so you guys can see. So we had an M in this region, right, with the neckline being there. Price came back to retest that neckline, more or less. And remember, guys, when it comes to necklines are not a line like this. It's more an area or a zone like this. So we can see that price came back to retest this neckline and then continued coming down. So we can just ignore this for now, as it's actually very far. Just continue. What else can we see by just looking at this particular chart? Let's see. So for now, what I'm gonna do is actually add my channels or my equidistant lines, or whatever it is you call it. Let's do it. Let's see. Our lines, as I always say, have to be very much accurate, just to ensure that ultimately when we do execute, in as far as buying or selling, our executions are as accurate as possible, because this will have an effect on our end results. I'm just gonna make this a black. There we go. All right. So we can see that the Netflix daily chart is downward sloping, which means that it's a bearish market. I'm just gonna move in quite a bit. Let's see, what else can we see by looking at this particular chart? So I don't see anything else except that, as I said, guys, that we have a gap over here, and at some point this gap needs to be filled by the market. What we may actually see is that price may head back to the neckline to fill this gap at this level. Let me just show you. At this level, price needs to hit this level, the 330.1 level. Should price do that, it would be confirming this huge M formation that we spoke about, as well as the retracement to the neckline that we spoke about, as well as hitting that 61.8% Fibonacci zone, which we also spoke about, right? And then, as I said, in this region we would then look for further selling opportunities. However, we're not just going to sell just by virtue of price having reached this area. We have to look for candlestick patterns that also confirm a sell, right? So let's proceed. So I'm now going to head over to the H4 chart, but before I do so, I would like to show you this candle over here, which is a bearish candle. It's a bearish candle with a small body and a long lower wick. We possibly have some liquidity at this level, which needs to be activated, maybe before price actually comes up to this level over here. But for now, I'm not going to mark it because the line, the bottom wick rather of the candle is not so long. So I'm just gonna not mark it actually. But in the back of our minds, we need to keep the fact that at this level, there's potentially some liquidity that needs to be grabbed by the market before it actually continues going up to this level over here. So let's go to the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, we just need to fix our channel, our daily channel, just to make sure that it's accurate as can be. As I said, guys, let's see. Let's see. There we go. There we go. So we're now looking at the H4 chart. And what else can we see at this H4 chart? Excuse me. What else can we see? Just looking at this particular H4 chart, what is it that we can see? Let's see. Let's continue. I actually don't see much except that these candles, these group of candles over here, seem to have long lower wicks, which suggests to me that price is probably in the process of rejecting rather this level. And as I said, what we may see is actually price coming back here, maybe giving us another small information with a small neckline, and then coming back to retest that neckline and then pushing further down. That's what we may see. Or price may get here, give us a reversal candlestick pattern and then push down again, right? So let's continue. So based on this H4 chart, I still don't see much. Right now I would like to add a channel. However, it's going to be a very awkward channel. It's going to be a very awkward channel. But let me just add one nonetheless and see how it actually looks. Let's go. Could I add one in this manner? I just want to see how it would look. Should we add a channel? I'm just gonna make it a blue color. Okay, let's see, would this work? I know that some of you might say that if I were to have an H4 channel in this manner, it would be invalid. It would be invalid. So, but for now, I'm just going to leave it actually, because usually what happens when it comes to channels is that once they are broken, like in this particular case, where price was here at some point, but it opened up as a gap. Channels sometimes need to be retested, so we might see price coming back to retest this channel and then pushing down. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it. Just so we don't forget about the possibility of price coming back to around the zone to maybe test it. However, it is quite invalid, I must say, but we will just keep it for now so that we do not forget about it. And let's proceed. I'm now going to head on over to the H1 chart. Okay, here we go. We've got the H1 chart. What do we see on the H1 chart? What I see on the H1 chart is that price seems to be in the process of creating a W formation. This would be the first leg. Price went up to the neckline, came back down to form the second leg, and however, it has not yet crossed the neckline, so it's still pretty much in development. What we need to do now is to just make sure that we monitor. Just for illustration purposes, I'm gonna do this so you can see exactly what I'm referring to. So we had price doing this, right, which is the first leg of the W formation. Price came down to form a small leg, a small second leg rather, and then it went up, right? It's not yet complete, it's still a work in progress. However, we can say that the neckline is in this region, and ideally what we would like to see is price breaking that neckline, then coming back to retest the neckline, and hopefully the neckline would be in alignment with at least the 50% Fibonacci zone or the 61.8% Fibonacci zone, because that would give us confluence for us to look for further buying opportunities, right? The third thing is that I would then to see some sort of pattern that motivates or that gives us confluence for buying to around this region, more or less, you know. So that is what I would like to see personally, but for now we just need to continue to monitor. But I'm just gonna add this W formation just so that you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm actually referring to, and so that we do not forget about this small W formation that is on the H1 chart. So I'm just gonna do this and say and do this. So that's the first leg of the W formation, and then price did this to form the just bear with me guys, I'm not so much of a good drawer, just bear with me. So we have this Hey guys, sorry about the background noise. I'm not at my usual place of recording. So please just bear with me. So that's the first leg, right? And then we have this second leg in this manner. My drawing is also not that perfect, but I just want you to have an idea in terms of how the W structure actually looks. Remember guys, it won't always be a perfect W structure because this is the market which is moved by individuals and other institutions. So it's not going to be like a W that we see in as far as literature is concerned, right? And then the neckline would be in this region here. I'm just gonna make it a blue as well, in keeping with the W, right? Yeah, so that's what I see right now, guys. And so far, I do not see any opportunities. In my humble opinion, we're gonna have to wait for price to actually close above this. We're gonna have to wait for price to close above this neckline, and once it does so, then we can possibly start looking for buying opportunities, so this is what I would like to see: price coming up, closing above the neckline, and then coming down to retrace to the neckline, and hopefully the neckline is in line with some of those key Fibonacci zones, and then we would then look for candlestick patterns that would say to us that it's time to buy. And should we buy in this region, my first take profit would be somewhere here where we have that the neckline of that bigger W formation which we spoke about earlier, which is around here. I think this would be a nice buy. Also, if you look at the distance, I think this would be some nice pips, right? So I'm just gonna go back to the H1 chart. So guys, yeah, that is it as far as the Netflix chart is concerned. At this point, I would not do anything in as far as buying or selling. I would wait for price to close above this area, come back to the neckline, and then look for possible buying opportunities to around this area over here. Should that also happen, I would then look for possible selling opportunities at this area, because like I said, it's in line with the analysis we spoke about earlier, where we looked at this bigger M structure, we looked at the neckline, we also looked at the fact that the neckline is in line with the 61.8% Fibonacci zone. So that's it guys, in as far as the Netflix chart is concerned. Thank you for watching, and if you have any further questions, just let me know in the comments section, and if there are any other charts that you would like me to have a look at, just let me know. Cheers guys.